Breaking. Breaking. So we've got a full look at the new Batsuit and the new Batmobile by now for the upcoming movie The Batman by Matt Reeves. So looking at that Batsuit, it looks somewhat practical, but I want to emphasize the somewhat because there's something in comics called the conceit of the mythos. The conceit of the mythos. And what that means is that there are certain things we just have to kind of accept and or ignore because if we put it in the real world and if we hold it to too much scrutiny, then the whole thing falls apart. Like the fact that Superman can hide in plain sight. Sometimes we believe that, with a good Chris Reeve performance, but sometimes we're like, a pair of glasses, really? But anyway, with Batman, it's the idea that he could carry all that equipment around and still be able to fight and still be able to do his ninja moves and still be able to hang upside down like Spider-Man does and still be able to move in stealth mode where nobody can see him or hear him with all that armor on. Okay? So when Batman's suit was just latex or spandex or cloth, that was one thing. But with the New 52 and with the Arkham games, it got upgraded to armor and it's been armor based ever since. And so we're just going to have to accept that Batman could be carrying 50 to 100 pounds of armor and equipment. No, seriously. But somehow still do everything he does. That's just a conceit of the mythos. So when I look at that bat suit, it looks like the bat symbol is made up of two broken pieces of a gun. And we all hazarded a guess that that gun was the very same gun that killed his parents. That means that at some point during that crime scene, little Bruce, 8-year-old Bruce, snatched that gun and hid it from the cops, if that's really true. How else would he get that gun? Once, the forensics officers had been over that scene or whatever. But anyway, once again, you can't hold comic books to complete real life practicality or else it always falls apart. So that suit still looks a little bit over armored to me. And it looks a little bit steampunk. That looks, a little bit like steampunk Batman. So we have to see him fight in it. Now, in the new pictures that were just released, it looks a little bit leaner and a little bit more believable. But again, I got to see him move in it, and I got to see him fight in it to draw any kind of final conclusions. Now, with a Batmobile, that Batmobile looks souped up like a Camaro. It really looks like this movie should be named The Bat and the Furious. Seriously, because he looks like he's like a street racer in that car. It's possible that Matt Reeves might be downplaying the billionaire angle because, every time somebody does Batman, they have to take something traditional and twist it or eliminate it or turn it, on its head to leave their mark on the mythos or whatever. And that's the things that get on fans' nerves the most, like making the Joker the killer of Batman's parents in Batman 89, like making Batman Returns really about duality and making the Penguin more of a monster and a tragic figure. And so, there's always something. But with this car, again, it looks like that, that doesn't look like a multi-million-dollar car that's been souped up and tricked out and fitted with all kinds of bat gadgets, okay? It looks like something a teenager would think to make if they had just a little bit more money. It looks like more of a hot rod than a Batmobile at this point. Now, my gut reaction tells me that Robert Pattinson's Batman looks like he just became Batman like last week. So we may be getting like, not even Batman year one. We may be getting Batman like month one. Because that's what this is starting to feel like to me. I could be wrong. I could be absolutely wrong. But that's what it's starting to feel like. Then we can move on to the lighting. Now, the lighting in general on those shots looks very dark and gloomy and atmospheric. And that's cool for stills. But one of the biggest issues we've had, like in the last 10 years, have been action scenes that have been edited in such a frenzied way. We can't see what's going on. And then on top of that, the lighting is so bad. It's so poorly lit. until we can't see what's going on from that angle either. Okay? Think about Predator AVP Requiem, that final fight between the Predator and the Predalien. Could we see what was going on? Could anybody make out what was going on in that thing? It was just unbelievable. So Batman is supposed to be dark. Gotham is supposed to be perpetually overcast, like Metropolis is perpetually in sunshine. And that's cool, but it's not supposed to be so dark that we can't see what's going on. Now, one of the most recent offerings that we have that seems to do it pretty well, especially in the first season, was Titans in the DC universe. When we saw Robin fight, we could really see what he was doing. We could see all the bones he was crunching and all the moves he was making, and I thought that was really well done, or at least better than we've gotten so far. If you want to ask me what the gold standard is, this is just for me. The gold standard for me is The Matrix, because in The Matrix you got over-the-top sci-fi action, which was justified because they were in, the machine world in The Matrix, but also you could see everything that was happening. You could see the martial arts moves. You could see everything that they were doing. And the actors talked about how long they had to train to prepare for all that fighting. Another great example is the first two seasons of Arrow, because Oliver Queen and when they introduced Katie Lotz as Sarah Lance, they did parkour, they did martial arts, and then they even used each other's weapons, because she could use a bow and he was using her sticks and everything, and it was just awesome. That was some of the best fighting we've seen on TV as well. The lighting there was often dark in shadow, but not so dark until we couldn't follow it. Again, that's the point. That's the whole idea. We've got to be able to follow what's going on. So again, this is like anything else. We have to reserve full judgment until the movie actually comes out. These are just stills. These are just shots, released to whet our appetite. And so as far as I'm concerned, they look kind of good as stills, but I have to see it in action. Now, my personal preference, this is just me being nitpicky because that's what I do. My personal preference would have been for the glow on the Batmobile to be blue. I think that makes a little bit more sense, all things considered. It doesn't quite feel right. It's just like Nightwing has, at least two costumes, one where his bird emblem is red and another one where it's blue, and the blue one looks better. So the gray and the blue, the black and the yellow, those combinations tend to work best with Batman across all mediums. So there's no medium where you can put Batman in all black or in the gray and blues and it just doesn't work. So here, that kind of neon red, I don't know. Something about that reminds me of Schumacher. It feels, once again, like something a teenager would do. It feels a little attention grabby. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know if Batman would do that. I think he would want to have the option for stealth, and you can't really do that when you have bright red neon coming off your tailpipe. But again, these are just still shots. So we'll see. We'll see how it plays out in the movie, but I'm really starting to feel like this is teenage Batman. I know Bruce is not going to be a teenager, but it just feels that way. It just feels like somebody that, got a hold of a bunch of money and said, let me trick out my car, as opposed to careful planning with the bat motif, because Bruce's idea is how can he strike fear? Remember, that's the core of the Batman character. How can he strike fear in the criminals he's targeting? And I don't know if I would feel that if I saw that car coming at me. I would feel like it's time to do, drag race on the street. And, who's my money on? But, that's just me. So anyway, those are my thoughts. Leave your thoughts in the comments below. Remember to like, subscribe, and share, because the more you like, subscribe, and share, the more content I can give you. Thanks so much. See you next time.